Hello, I'm old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and we're going to go for another morning bike ride. And so I'm going to just introduce it here, and then we will go. We'll go to some place where we haven't been yet, and we'll jump back in. So anyway, here we go. Oh, by the way, I've got a story. It has to do with high school, finally. So we'll be telling that story. All right, so stay tuned. Let's jump ahead. All right, here we are. And we're going to go on my regular, like when I'm not making a video, we're going to go on my regular bus. I used to have a bus route. Anyway, going to go on my regular bike ride that I just do for exercise. And so it's not real interesting, but it's better than sitting on the couch. And so this is my bike ride route. Well, we got me up to high school finally. I just remembered something that happened when I was a little kid, but I'll get back to that some other time. Anyway, got me up to high school, and Henry and I were both transferred to the new high school, which is Mount Rainier High, and I've got a picture of it now from Google Earth. That's not what it looked like at that time. It was out in the woods. There was no buildings around. There was no football fields or anything. It was a brand new school. And so so that's the school, but it didn't look like that back then. And it had separate buildings. I can't remember. I think it had 3 wings. 2 of the wings had classrooms in them. 2 of the wings did, and then the 3rd wing had the office, and we also had a separate building that had a gymnasium and a cafeteria. And I don't remember that much about it, but that's what we had. Well, anyway, it's a new school, and because they had the way they had it set up, lunch hour was split up, and all the classes from one wing would go to lunch, but the classes in the other wing would not go to lunch till the second half of the lunch hour. And so that's how it worked. And Henry and I, of course, I had always been interested in, back years ago, back in the 50s, I was in the patrol. What do you call it? Safety patrol, where the little kids would stand out in the street with a red flag, and the cars would stop and they'd let the kids go across and stuff. And so I was on that, and then just always involved in some kind of patrol like that. Well, anyway, so they wanted somebody to monitor the hallway during the lunch hour. The hallway of the class, the wing that the classes were still taking place. So during our lunch hour, Henry and I volunteered to stand at each end of the wing. It had doors at both ends, and we'd stand at each end of the wing, and he'd be at one end, I'd be at the other end, and if somebody wanted to come in the door, we'd just tell them you can't come in because there's classes in session. And so that was our job during our lunch hour. Anyway, so it gets kind of boring just standing there for a half hour or whatever it was. And so we'd take a 50-cent piece and roll it down the hallway from one end to the other. And generally it'd get all the way down there. And then it would hit the doorstop and bounce straight up in the air. And Henry would catch it, or I would catch it coming my way. So we did that, and then we noticed that a lot of kids didn't lock their lockers. There was lockers all along the hallway, and so
Some of the kids just didn't bother to lock their locker. So one day we were thinking, okay, let's see what lockers are locked and what aren't. Very quietly. We had to do it quietly because we couldn't make a bunch of noise because the classes were in session. So anyway, we went down and we found several. Just in one little section, we found about a dozen lockers that weren't locked. And I thought, no, let's have some fun. And so we took everything out of one locker and put it into a different locker. Took everything out of that locker, put it in a different locker, and we did that to, I don't know, I suppose 9 or 10 lockers, maybe more. And then, we decided, well, okay, let's hurry up and get back down here when school gets out so we can see what happens when they get to their locker. And so school gets out and we rush over to that hallway, and we're standing there. And what was interesting was the kids did, in every case, the kids would come up to their locker, open it up, they'd see all this strange stuff inside, and they'd close the door and look up at the number again. And it was the same number. It was their number. And they would look at it. And so we stood there for like 5 minutes watching the kids. And then we had to go get on our bus and ride home. So that was, we thought, well, that was a lot of fun. Well, the next morning when we came to school, now this was the wing that had the office in it was all modern back then and everything, and the office had glass windows in front of it between the hallway and the office, and so that you could walk by and see what's going on in the office, and the office guys could look out and see who's going up and down the hallway. And so we walked down the hallway and looked in that office, and there was a huge pile of lost and found items. And so anyway, and then there's another story associated with that. I'll make it real quick. There was this one time when I was monitoring the hallway all by myself, and there was the rule, no smoking in the school and stuff like that. Well, I could hear in the men's room, I could hear somebody in there, and so I went in there and I listened, and or maybe I saw the guy walk in, I can't remember. Anyway, so I walked down the hallway, walked in very quietly, and or however I did it. I don't know if I was quiet. Anyway, as soon as I went in the stall, I heard what sounded like a cigarette lighter. You know how you flip the top up and click on it. Back in those days, you had that little metal lighter, and so I heard that, and I said, "Is somebody smoking in there?" And this voice came out, "Yeah, what about it?" I said, "Well, you can't smoke. You have to put that out and come on out. We're going to the office." Remember, I'm a little short guy. And so this kid, maybe 6 inches taller than me or more, bigger than me, like everybody is. Anyway, he comes out and he acts like he's gonna go to the office with me. And so we're coming up to a stop sign here. And they want me to go ahead and go. And so they're going to turn. So anyway, so we get to the doorway, and just as we get to the doorway, he decides he's not going with me. And so he turns around, raises his foot, pushes me, and I kind of go backwards, and then I grab a hold of him, and he's not going to beat, I'm going to get him. And so we go into this wrestling match, and real wrestling. He's trying to beat me up, and I'm trying to get him to the office. And so, and I remember my foot slipped as we were wrestling, and my leg went into those urinals that go clear to the floor. My pant leg got soaking wet, and so, about I don't know, about a minute or so into it, it just so happened we had a football coach, and his name was Madden, by the way. Not the same Madden, I don't think, but he came walking in as we were wrestling, and he broke it up, and he took the kid to the office, and get a lot of cars, a lot of traffic here. So he took the kid to the office, and the kid got expelled. So anyway, years later, I get into college, and I was tutoring the football players on some class. I don't remember what it was. And one of the guys was from Mount Rainier High School, and he says, "You want to know something?" I said, "What?" He says, "Coach Madden still uses you as an example of not giving up." And so that was kind of a blessing to hear those guys, that he still remembered me fighting that guy bigger than me, and I wasn't about to let him go or whatever. Anyway, we're coming up to a stop sign here, and I probably talked long enough. A couple of stories from high school when I was big and brave. So anyway, I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.